We got to go see Star Wars Battlefront Walker Assault Mode. I played as Imperial, you played as Rebels.
Yes, I did.
What did you think?
As the Rebels, I think, one of the coolest things was trying to fight off the giant AT-ATs coming at you. But it was kind of tough to stop them. I wasn't entirely sure how to do it with what we played.
Like the Walker Assault Mode, it felt a little bit like kind of a rolling rush mode. A little bit of rush from Battlefield, but basically the AT-ATs walk up the field. The Imperials play as just grunts, like protecting the legs of the AT-AT, keeping the Rebels from shooting it with, I think, like ground ion cannons. And then if it gets hit enough times, then the Rebels can attack it directly.
Yeah.
So it was a really interesting mode. The map opens up as you go. So as the Imperials capture points, then you get to play on the next section of the map and the next section of the map, which, like I said, is a lot like Rush. Even at one point went into a Hoth base. Yeah. Did you play first person or third person?
So I switched between the two. I mostly played first person, but I did try third person a little bit. I liked it. I think it worked. I know the originals were all third person mostly, and I was kind of worried that it may not work too well, and it felt good, but I think first person's probably the best way to play this game.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. I was a little bit skeptical going into the E3 because the vast majority of coverage of Battlefront was basically about what's not in the game, so this is the first time we actually see what's in the game. The Imperial faction, there was a couple of different loadouts that I had. One of them was a bubble shield, so because Hoth is such a trench planet, it's like World War I style, it was really important to like pop your bubble shield, or the other class which had a jetpack, to get between those open spaces quickly to get into the trench and then basically capture and hold these Walker assault points.
Yeah, you wouldn't last too long if you were out on the no man's land, I guess. I had to use the jet jump to get around through there.
Now, one of the things that it was interesting was the way that you get into the AT-STs or the X-Wings were basically power-ups, like from Mario Kart. It was like,
that was weird.
You'd run across the field and you'd hit a power-up, and some of the power-ups were AT-STs. So you got a chance to fly an X-Wing. How did the flying feel?
So I played a little bit of first person in the X-Wing, and then I played a little bit of third person, and it felt a lot like Jets, a simplified version of Jets from Battlefield. It's not nearly as complicated, but it's fun. It felt good.
Did you manage to attack ground targets in the AT-ATs?
A little bit. I flew in close. I shot some people on the ground. I don't know if I killed anyone, and then I crashed. But then I also got a chance to fire at the AT-AT with that, and I think that is how I was able to do the most damage on that thing.
So I got a chance, too, to pick up an AT-ST. You get the pickup, you warp into it, and the AT-ST was pretty powerful. It has...
you killed me a couple times with that.
It's got the main laser cannons, it's got a grenade launcher, and it's got a rocket. So once you pick that thing up, I don't know, I was able to hold down pretty much a wave of rebels coming out of a Hoth base for a while, and then continue up the map. But it's still unclear at this point, like how often those pickups pop up, because the power-ups from just playing seem to be rocket launchers and some other things to help you on your way.
Yeah, like there'd be grenades, like pickups, like there'd be like the little spinning sort of emblem, and you'd pick it up and you'd get a grenade, which is kind of weird, and then other times you'd get an X-Wing or something like that.
So my overall impression of the Star Wars Battlefront PvP session that we saw was it was a lot better than I expected. Frostbite is really good at doing sound, and I think that's a large part of it. The combat itself, there was a good variety of weapons. There were close-range blasters, there were like medium-range equivalent light machine guns, and then there was sort of like the longer-range blaster class. The blasters themselves had a lot of like weight and impact, and also the shots arced, because I think in Star Wars Universe it's not lasers, they're charged plasma, so you actually had to lead targets. And overall, I was surprised how much it felt like a World War I trench shooter for the match that we played.
Yeah, especially that last section when they were kind of making that final push and there was basically just trenches going around. That was really cool.
So we'll continue to look into Star Wars Battlefront and bring you information. For all your Star Wars Battlefront coverage, stay tuned to GameSpot.com.